We're going to be focused on the mastery process. Now, the mastery process is a data team or PLC process. We're going to use the approach that's been popularized by Douglas Reeves of the Leadership and Learning Center in Colorado, which is a Houghton Mifflin professional development group. And so we basically have a computer supported technology enhanced mastery process that we've incorporated into our platform. So what I'd like to do is to basically click on the mastery process and give you an overview of what this will contain. We've completed a mastery process, so we're going to be looking at a mastery process that's been completed. However, I'll try to step you through the components of it that contributed to the completion of this. You can see that the mastery process title is numeration, and this particular process consists of 4 standards. And so those 4 standards are the major constituents of this particular process. And so I'm going to click on this, and it will bring up the components of the mastery process. And the key components are a pre-test and a post-test. And the pre-test and the post-test should be given by all of the members of the data team or the PLC. And it needs to be the same pre-test and post-test. So the leader, the team leader, would basically work with the team to construct the pre-test, share that pre-test as a mastery process pre-test, and do the same thing with the post-test. So you've got a pre-test and a post-test that have been shared with your data team as part of this mastery process. Now, each member, using whatever technology is appropriate in their classroom will deliver the pre-test. And again, our platform supports a variety of technologies, so the pre-test the outcomes may be collected via the web camera in a bubble sheet mode, may be collected using the response pads, could be collected using the Teacher Assist app, and it could be collected by the student apps, the student app Engage and Learn. So those are various ways of collecting the data, and here's an example of the pre-test being given, and you can see that Sandy Garner had 26 students, Terry Henley had 20, and Lee Jager had 22. And you can see how they were arranged, or how they were deposited into the categories after taking the pre-test. So this is Sandy Garner's results, and you can see that she has 5 that are in the category does not meet, corresponding with this particular item right there, 79%, 71%. Henley has 6 in that category, and actually has 2 in the far to go category. And then Jaeger is sitting there with 5 in the does not meet and 1 in the far to go. So this is basically the initial data that's gone into this mastery process. And then basically in utilizing this process, one can look at the standards that were represented here and find out that the students did quite well on whole numbers, and they had problems with decimal fractions. So that's probably to be expected if you're a math person. So here are the goals. We had a pre-test that was completed. We analyzed the results according to the standards, and now we set our goals. And this is the results. These are the results of each teacher looking at their students and where their students fell, and basically identifying their goals. So Garner had 5 that were in the category of not exceeding our meets, and those 5 are in that category and need to be produced or moved to the category of exceeds or meets. So these are not in that category. Sandy Garner wants to move the 22 from the 22 to the, or 21 to the 26, so that 100% of all students will be her goal for meeting or exceeding on the post-test. It turns out that Henley has, looks like one or two, maybe two, that she feels like will not be able to get to that, but is projecting that she'll have 18 of the 20 students in the exceeds or meets on the post-test. And Yeager is projecting, looks like maybe 21 of the 22, so one student that will not be able to get into the exceeds or meet on the post-test. So you see that the teachers have analyzed the results, formalized the goals. You can look at the teaching strategies that they've chosen to use. They've got a variety of activities that they want to impose or utilize in the classroom. And so these are kind of constructed and formalized and placed into the strategies document here. And then finally, the post-test is given, and these represent the results from the post-test. So we can see that Garner still has one that does not meet. Henley has one that does not meet, and Yeager has two. They don't have any in the far to go. All of them have had a percent change, and a nice percent change, really. And so you can look at the bar charts here and see that Garner has now gotten a good response with only one student here, one student by Henley, and two students by Yeager. There's none in the far to go category, which is great. So we have 4 students that are in these categories, one each by Garner and Henley, and 2 by Yeager. So there's a post-test result, and you can look at your student data. So this is the student data for Garner, and we can see the pre-test scores, the post-test scores, and the percent change. They had a great percent change there for Javon Daniels. Good changes. One student is a negative here, one student's a negative here, but all the rest are either no change or positive change. Actually, there's 3 that had negative change. So that's Garner's 5th grade class. And here's the PLC member data again, so you can see that aspect of it. Now, we can go look at the team results, and here's our pretest results. 11 has gone from 11 to 26. That's great. 38 stays at 38, so a bunch of those moved from the meets to the exceeds. And then we had movement from the far to go into the does not meet, and certainly we had movement from the does not meet into these categories here. So this represents a fairly reasonable representation of the mastery process from the pretest to the post-test, and that's the team results. Now you can look at that on a teacher basis. So the 3 different teachers are represented by blue, red, orange, and so you can see the exceeds numbers for each of the teachers on the pretest, and then you'll see a large gain on the post-test. So you want these graphs to be, to have this sort of change. Here's the meets on the pretest, and then here's the meets on the post-test. Now the meets here for Sandy Garner have gone from 16 to 13, but one of the reasons for that is